What's up, guys? So in this video I'm going to be doing a breakdown and review of Dr. Sleep because I actually got to go and see the movie last night, and I got to go see it actually at an early screening premiere. I won these tickets from a Warner Brothers giveaway, and it was my first time actually going to ever see a premiere screening, and it was awesome. The audience was super hype and it was great. Like, everything about it just felt really cool. You know, just getting to see a movie like this with a full theater, it was a really awesome experience. And I actually have some videos that I'll have in the background as I talk throughout in this video and break down this movie and get into some details that I think really need to be discussed early on, which a lot of people will probably start thinking or wanting to look up and hear about in some videos. But I really think that there's room for there to be another movie after this, or an extended cinematic universe, which I will discuss later on. But first I want to talk about how one of my favorite movies is The Shining. I really love the intriguing story and the aesthetic that Stanley Kubrick delivers in his movie. A lot of other people feel that way as well. Even though Stephen King himself went on record of saying that he did not really like it, there's no doubt that the movie really became sort of a cult classic, or just a classic in general in terms of horror and film. And so last night, going to see Dr. Sleep was such a great experience for me because the movie is amazing. First, I want to talk about Mike Flanagan, who is the director of this movie. He really deserves praise for it. He is the guy who directed The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which is a great horror show. And for him to take this notorious title and handle it so well, I mean, it's really fantastic what he's able to do with such a well-known name as The Shining, being a relatively smaller director with a really smart vision and smart mind. He's one of my favorite directors, and another notable thing about him is that he went to my college that I'm at right now, and he majored in the film department, which I'm also a major at right now. So this guy's kind of, you know, directly down my lane, right down my path. He's an alum from my university, and he's really big on horror and sci-fi and all those things, which is also what I'm pursuing. So once again, I thought the movie was fantastic. It did a really good job at carrying on the striking story of The Shining, and it's one of the best King adaptations on screen as of late. I loved it. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, the 2017 version. And I actually have to say that this movie, Dr. Sleep, is one of the best adaptations on screen, right up there with it and some of the other great on-screen Stephen King adaptations. This is one that, even though I got to see it for free at a premiere, I would pay to rewatch it, and I think I will do that because there's just so much about this movie that's really enjoyable. So first off, I want to say that the pacing and the editing of this movie is great. This movie uses a lot of fade transitions, and I feel like that was Mike Flanagan's way of paying homage to The Shining with those fades, and it's really nostalgic and just cool to see fade transitions being used in a movie in 2019. He uses them a lot, but he doesn't overdo it, and it just fits really well. The pacing is excellent. Everything feels satisfying. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. You really do get to ingest and enjoy this story and feel drawn into the world. The distribution of the story between Danny and Abra is perfect. They find a way to make this story that we focus on with an older Danny and a teen girl, Abra, who has the shine, interesting, and they evenly distribute it throughout the movie so that we get to, you know, really emotionally connect with this older version of Danny, but we also connect with this younger girl, Abra, who has magic powers, or the shine. It's also another interesting thing called the steam throughout the movie by the main villains who are going after these people with the shine in order to sustain and for them to stay basically alive forever, to attain immortality. Also, another thing, as you may have noticed, Abra, the teenage girl, her name Abra is most definitely probably a reference to abracadabra, because throughout the movie she always calls it magic. You know, she's a younger girl, so she believes that her shine is like magic powers or magic abilities, which they really are. So you could choose to really call the shine several things now. You could call it the shine, you could call it magic, or you can call it the steam, based on just what your personal preference is. I have to keep talking about Abra because some of the best scenes in this movie are with her and her using her shine. The cinematography is perfect whenever she has to do something. They introduce some really cool elements, which I'm not going to spoil, but they introduce a lot of cool elements about how she's able to really kind of teleport to certain places. She's able to go and do some really cool things, and she has a lot of power with her shine, not just a sense or a feeling more so that we got to see in The Shining, but it goes beyond that, and we really get to start getting into the telekinetic parts of this power. Some of the best scenes in this movie are those with Abra. She is one of the most powerful people possessing the shine, or steam as they call it, and the way she uses her power is just amazing. All of her scenes are audience pleasers. Everybody in the crowd would clap or laugh whenever something would happen with this girl. They find a way to take what makes people fall in love with, I'd say 11 in Stranger Things, and they multiply that by 10, which is fair because King's stories were the original when it came to these kids with powers or this telekinetic sort of things. King was really the one who introduced a lot of that in some of his books. A lot of these kids who have shine or the ability to do certain powers or things. And I love Stranger Things. It is literally my favorite show. But I think that because Stranger Things, you know, because we're doing now sort of this 180 and we're going back to a lot of these things from the 80s and we're paying homage to a lot of kids with powers and abilities and things like that. Since Stranger Things was really the first to do that as of late or modern and became sort of a mainstream hit, it sort of took away that, you know, special thing where you do the nose bleeding with 11 or certain aspects of that character. And so you feel like anything that, you know, does something with kids with powers, you attach it to Stranger Things or you attach it to 11. And as much as I love Stranger Things, that's not really the case. It sort of started with King or a lot of these stories from the 80s from a lot of authors or movies back then that had sort of the same thing. And I have to say that they take Abra and they make a lot of her unique aspects in this movie so interesting. The actress Kylie Curran, who played Abra, deserves way more roles in the future. I thought that she did really great. For being such a young person, I think she's only 14 years old, and she portrays a young girl in this movie. Her scenes are, like I said, some of the best, and I think that she deserves way more roles in the future. This is also only her second movie ever. That's another thing to note. So this being her second ever feature-length film, really great. Ewan McGregor does amazing in his role as the older Danny Torrance. He's fantastic, and seeing him portray the character is just great. Everything about Ewan McGregor, he's an amazing actor. Don't need to say much more or elaborate, but the way that they portray Danny in this movie is great. We really get to feel that closure, and he feels so badass, and his power is definitely not underused. The cinematography is amazing. The scenes featuring conflict between Abra and the villain Rose, who is also really great, are some of the best looking effects, and they work very well. All of the CGI is realistic and everything looks great. Also, there's a lot of humor in this movie, and as I've said before, it is an audience pleaser. There's quite a bit of funny bits, and it really gives it that cinematic feel, slash like the Avengers style team up sort of feel that I feel like a lot of movies are trying to do now, where whenever there's like a sequel or a remake, or it's supposed to feel like this large cinematic event, they're trying to go for that Avengers feeling where they implement a little bit of humor, but sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But I can tell you right now, in this movie, Dr. Sleep does it really well, and it really mixes with the serious tone in the movie, and how cool Abra's character is, how cool Danny's character, everybody else in this movie. Every single moment where they're trying to insert some humor, it doesn't feel forced, it feels really natural, and it works. It's funny, and there's a lot of throwback references, a lot of people who come back from The Shining that I'm not going to spoil, but whenever there are cameos, you know, it's an audience pleaser. It feels really cool, it feels really great, and it really makes this feel like a big event. But like I said, the pacing in this movie is really well done, so nothing feels too fast, nothing feels too slow. You really get to feel like you're digesting this movie perfectly. Now, as for if this can work as a movie franchise or an extended universe, I have to say that I really think that they should try to continue the story and go somewhere. And even though there is not technically a third book in the Shining series, I would say that Stephen King should consider bringing back Mike Flanagan. But I think that there's something more that you can do with this. It really does feel like Star Wars, or it feels like I said, like that cinematic event where it's we haven't seen The Shining on screen in decades, so seeing this movie really does feel like Star Wars or something big, and they do such a good job at making this feel like it could be its own exclusive thing. It could be its own exclusive universe, and in a way it really is, because a lot of Stephen King's books and movies connect. So I really feel like they could go somewhere with this, because the Shine or the Steam or whatever you want to call it, it is its own thing, and they could expand more on that and focus on other kids in the world who have the power. There are hints that they will leave throughout the movie and towards the end where they mention that there are still many others in the world with the shine. So that does leave possible room for a third movie, which could very much work after a lot of the intriguing things were teased with from Abra. I think that they could really focus on Abra and a lot of the other people as well, and I just would really love to see something else that focuses on this universe more and more, because I feel like they knocked it out of the park with this movie, and that they did a really good job at bringing us not only a sequel, but something that feels like it could continue. So overall, I was very pleased with this movie. It was one of my most anticipated films of the year anyway, so I would definitely say that my expectations were met and exceeded, and I'd recommend going to go watch this film. I will probably make some more videos. If you guys want to see those, make sure to drop a like. Let's try to go for 10 likes on this video, and I'll make sure to make another video that, you know, breaks down more so some of the Easter eggs in this movie and go into a lot of theories and some things that they could really do with this movie if they made it a cinematic universe. And I hope you guys did enjoy. Other than that, make sure to subscribe if you're new. I make a lot of videos like this. I make a lot of video essays for films, and I also do my own film stuff. And yeah, other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.